everyone, and thank you for joining Chewing the Fat. We have a special edition today, radio where you can feed your brain. We are also on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and also YouTube. Catch us anytime and any place. So there's no excuse for catching Chewing the Fat. This is your host, the Queen, and you also have our we are here today to talk about our homeless population. Are we a part of the solution? Should we be held accountable, or are we a part of the problem? Do we or what we see? Do we walk past them as though they our states across the nation? I just want to know. So news, we see that there are more pop-ups of our stars being accused of sexual harassment. I don't know. It's just now been like a pop-up shop now. For me, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. Um, it's like a pop-up shop. I'm just not sure if everyone is um, on the barbed wire. Everybody's a victim or everyone's a suspect. Now they have Sylvester Stallone. They had Morgan Freeman just stripped of everything. Some things probably are just simple flirtations, and I think now they're taking it just and knocking it out of the park. So I'm glad you are discussing the home epidemic, because recently there is a viral video coming from California of a bastard jogger taking a homeless man's possession epidemic, and we're going to talk about that different
Atlanta
states
too.
and California's on that, CJ. Um, so yeah, back to the pop-up shops of the accusations. I wanted to touch on. We got to be very careful with the media and with the accusations that's being thrown around. Some of these people we won't have any stars in Hollywood pretty soon. If we keep it up, men or women, producers or directors, from radio to TV, because if they merely flirted with women or men, they are now going to be stripped of their titles because they should be called probably sexual harassment. So when you're in school and the boys would do boys chase the girl, or kind of sign that it was an unwanted touch, but you were able to stand up, don't touch me anymore, whatever. And now if you do, a young man can lose, they can be expelled, they can be put on a registry, all different types of things. So it's what was innocent to us back then that just kind of precursed a dating ritual is now formed as witch hunts. And I am really starting to be afraid for our youth and anyone else that's in power to even look a certain way at people, because they're going to be stripped of those titles. Another correction from last week. I believe I said Rosie O'Donnell when I meant to say Roseanne Barr. So I do want a retraction. I was speaking fast, so I want to go back and do a retraction when I was speaking about Rosie Roseanne Barr and not Rosie O'Donnell. I misspoke last week, so I did want to do a retraction from last week's show when I was talking about the show was being rebooted, because I have some people that may be pretty critical of anything that's said, and it was just a slip of the tongue. But I am so glad that my guests are very loyal and and I love creative criticism. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me sharpened. So thank you, LaShawn Anderson, for telling me about the slip up. So I appreciate that. And you're saying, I mean, oh, he mean the lake that they threw the homeless person's possession in. Yeah, Roseanne Barr. Ugh. Yeah, ugh for Roseanne Barr. So back to our homeless population. Our homeless population, it is definitely an epidemic, and it is it is about 500,000 people in America in the US alone that is homeless right now. It's the number is about 549,928. So that's over a half a million in the United States alone, according to the Homeless Assessment Report.
That's a lot.
That is an excessive number. That is an excessive number of people that is homeless. And reasons behind this is because number one, mental illness, and they shut down a lot of institutions and stripped funding for that. Number two, and we're going to touch bases on that and how they end up in the criminal justice system because of that. Number two, we're going to talk about the cost of living is extremely high, which also forces our homeless population and families into the streets because of the cost of living is extremely high. Employment, finding employment is another thing that has pushed people into the streets, and the stresses of life has also pushed people into the street. So you have environment, you have social economic factors, SES factors, social economic factors, as far as cost of living, things that's going on in people's lives. And then you also have just the simple old mental illness, which is a big disturbance and interruption in someone's life. Homeless youth under 25 and chronically homeless individuals with disabilities were most likely to be at risk and undersheltered. 46% are homeless. 46%, almost 50%.
Man.
That's a huge percentage. Huge percentage. And this is done by the National Figures and Homeless Assessment. So these numbers are solid. 68% are chronically homeless individuals with disabilities. With disabilities. I couldn't imagine being disabled and homeless at the same time. And it's because they're on these long waiting lists, waiting to be approved for low incomes, for Section 8s. They only get the Social Security checks, which does not cover the cost of living when your apartment is $1,000 and above, and you're only receiving $700 to $900 in your government check, and your average apartment may be $900 to $900 and up, depending if you have a family, if you need more than one bedroom.
And they tell you that if you do work, we're gonna cut your check, right?
We'll cut your check. Well, now they allow you to work part-time if you have a disability.
Okay.
Or so they allow you to work part-time now, but you just can't exceed a certain window amount, a bracket amount. Mm-hmm. So they allow you to work. Nearly 1/5 of all people experiencing homelessness are children under the age of 18. There are a lot of youth. If you ever look under Lower Wacker, I go and I feed the homeless a couple of times a year. I feed them. In the wintertime, I do a clothes drive, a winter coat drive. I do hot chili, I do hot cocoa. And I go under Lower Wacker. And right before you get to Navy Pier, there's an underground hub where it's nothing but the homeless population. I never video that. I never put anyone on camera because I believe in the privacy of these families and the people that's there. But if you ever want to do anything, go under there. And if you have old clothing, things that you've outgrown, or things that's too small or too big for you now, please go there. Give them away. Your kids outgrow things. It's children under there. I've saw 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 10-year-olds, teenagers. Some are addicted to alcohol or drugs. We have to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Thank you so much. And part of the problem. Thank you so much, Jody. Thank you so much, Jody Spencer. It has to be talked about because it was at one point that when I would see people shaking a can or things like that, I would be one of the ones that would walk past. But instead of me walking past, I would say, "Are you hungry?" Because I would rather buy the sandwich sometimes than give the money, because I don't know if they're addicted or not. So I would buy the sandwich, or if it's a nearby restaurant, I say, "Come follow me in the restaurant," and I'll buy the food and give the food. Now you can tell the ones that are really hungry, because they'll follow you and they'll get the meal. And then you can tell the ones that want
Yeah.
the money, because they'll be like, "No, I don't want that."
Yeah. They have
Well,
an attitude.
you have an attitude, and then you're gonna tell me what you don't want. When you're hungry, you'll eat just about anything, because I know I will, and I have food in my refrigerator. So when I'm hungry, I can see my kids with
Salute, Vaughn.
food on the table. I can see, and I'll stick my hand over in their food and be like, "Oh, what's this?" You know, when you're hungry, this vegan will almost bite down on a piece of chicken when you're real hungry and you're shaking. So, and this is just from just being just hungry,
Exactly.
just being famished, just being hungry and seeing food. So I just can't imagine someone who has a limited amount of food or to no food. So you're not gonna tell anybody, "No, I don't want that." You're gonna eat, so you would know who needs what. What are you saying, CJ? Last year, one of my IUN organizations had hosted a soup kitchen twice to help feed the homeless, and I'm glad. I hope you participated, and if you did,
Salute.
kudos and salute
Who
to
is that?
you, CJ Shannon.
CJ.
Salute to you, because we need that. We need more of that going on, because we we never know what position that we may find ourselves.
Yes.
And I say that all the time. It's by grace and mercy that we don't find ourselves in the same predicament. Um, when the recession was going on, I would say, "Thank God I'm still here. Thank God my house is not boarded up. Thank God." I
Right.
saw homes being shut down around me. I mean, neighbors, older people, middle aged people. These were middle class um, families, and they were being shut down. And so it was devastating.
It's a blessing.
It was devastating to
You
say
able
the
to
least.
keep your bills and things like that up.
Jody, and if you want to do something for them, blankets and pillows and socks, shoes, start a drive. If you got to start a drive, link on to somebody that's with a drive and be a part of that. When I have the drives, then link on with me. I would love to have you as a volunteer or as a person that's working alongside of me as a partner to get the drive going. And it's a wonderful thing. We can start as early as October and starting the drive so that we can get the things in before the winter sets in, and we can have coats and socks and shoes and scarves and hats, and we can start just as early as then, and all sizes. Yes, we can start collecting items as early as now. If we like, some people may have some coats they want to get rid of now, and we can. And those are things that we can do now. And as December falls in, that's when we start asking, or November, we start asking for canned goods. And then that's when we can start a soup kitchen drive for them. In 2016, Massachusetts had 19,608 people facing homelessness on a given night. On a given night. I'm not talking about the year. This is a given night. 19,000 people homeless. Massachusetts is one of the
Man, that's a
highest
lot.
ranked cities. I'm going to show you this map here. The
What?
ones that's in the red are the ones that has the highest population. The ones that's in the pink is above average, and the one that's in the yellow is around average. Below average is the lime green, I mean the light green, and the lowest is the darker green.
I'm surprised Atlanta is
Now you
like double
see
red.
Massachusetts, New York, DC are all in the high red for homeless population. Those are the three highest states that have the highest number.
Can they see it on mine?
Hey, Charles, and let me allow you to your viewers to see. And these are the charts that it's lighting up, and they have it here. And so in the pink at one of the above. Hey, Charles Tiger Scott. Hey, honey child, back to you. And so we have Vermont, we have Arkansas, we have Seattle, Washington, like that's Washington State, versus DC. We have Oregon, and these are all of the higher states. So we didn't even fall. Chicago didn't fall in the higher states.
And I'm
And you
surprised
would
about
think,
Atlanta.
and Atlanta.
I think
Well,
Atlanta would be super high.
yeah, because a lot of people navigate there. So we would think,
Man,
and
that's all you
California
see.
numbers have dropped because California was one of the highest, which was in 2016, 2015. So their numbers have dropped. Great job, California. Great job. So they reduced it. Now we have, the yellow, around average. And Colorado, they put a homeless program in effect that everyone is modeling after. Read about it maybe 4 to 5 years ago where they started housing programs, and it's a model program. So now they are around average. When they were the highest state, they had the largest population. They were they were like 1 million
So they found
homeless.
a plan.
So they found a plan. They worked the
That's
plan. They
good.
found a plan,
They was
and they
concerned.
executed. They
Better
were
be
they were very
concerned.
concerned because the homeless population was even lying around City Hall. They were everywhere. It was nowhere that they were not, and it was like they were almost navigating the Colorado to just like what do you call it, squat. It was like squatters' rights there. So you have Wyoming, Minnesota, California, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and
I don't know what
ME is
Maine.
it is.
Yep, that's
Maine.
Maine. By Boston.
Yeah.
Boston.
So here we are. So we have those, and everyone else is in the green. You guys can, just about figure those out. I don't want to break down all of the states, but everyone else is in the green area where we are below average or the lowest. So Chicago, I'm just going to say Illinois. Let me find Illinois. We are below average. We're not the lowest, but Illinois, the state of Illinois, is below average. So we're probably at, is that 40,000, 40K, 40K. So still a high number, but we are one of the lowest. We are one of the lowest. So, but when we're saying we're at the lowest and it's at 40K, that's still deep,
Yeah.
So we have to still
That's
be
a
a
lot of
part.
folks.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of families. That's a whole lot of people that's displaced. A whole lot of people that have no shelter, nowhere to call home. And when you're displaced, you're beaten. Sometimes you're scrambled. You don't have, your morale is down. You don't really know which way to go or which way to
Because
turn
you've been homeless so
because you're
long.
homeless so long. A person making minimum wage like $11 or $12 an hour will work up to $100, 100 hours per week at 52 weeks a year to afford just a 2-bedroom rental home. For a 1-bedroom rental home, a person making minimum wage will have to work 80 hours a week at 52 hours. At 52 weeks a year. So that's in order not to be homeless. So that's why the average person is working 100 hours just to make the ends meet. And so that's why we are such a tired and an exhausted or grumpy nation. We're stressed. We're worn out because the cost of living is so high. Cola is so high. Everything is going up but our wages. Everything around us is getting higher but our wages. The cost of living is simply ridiculous. Hey, Tammy, how are you? Been trying to call you. Need you to do that poem for me on June 30th. So, of course, Massachusetts, I rank everybody by 3.9%. And I spoke to you about that. So, the criminalization of this whole thing, when I talked about it earlier, it's better when communities work together to solve the problem, because when businesses and residents get together. They're cleaning their communities up. They're not having the stragglers just around their community. When you do that, it brings your property value down. I want you to know that as well. When you have people that's loitering in your neighborhood, causing things to break down, and you start to see um, broken glass, the loitering, the
Trash.
trash, all of those different things, it brings your property value down. Um, Too many people are being able to get into affordable housing, and lack of health care has turned our streets into prisons and into default housing and mental health institutions. So that's what's happening. So everyone is flooding to the streets, and they thinking it's the mental health institutions, and they're not. They're not getting the proper help that they need because our institutions have shut down. They snatched the federal funding for those situations. And so our mental health population are now in the streets because they're not properly being monitored to take their medications. So if they're not taking their medications, they're not responsible for paying their bills. Some people need the medications so they can be more effective and more responsible, so that they make sure that they're paying their bills on time, that they can make sure that someone helps them know how to budget properly. And those are the things that they need. And when they're on their medication, they can be more rational. And sometimes they slip, so they lose their apartments. Um, because people are experiencing homelessness, they're not all. It's not always by choice. It's lack of the criminal punishment that serves the constructive purpose. When they have an X on their back, it's harder for them to find employment. Every time they go to jail, it makes it harder and harder. When they act out on the street and they get a disorderly conduct, that's another X on their back. Every time they try to go and find some type of job, it's going to hinder them. It's if they see resisting arrest on their background, anything of that nature, it is causing them a problem in their life. They get half fines that cripple them, minor traffic violations, all of those different
So
things.
they don't give them a choice but to dig the hole, keep digging
Keep
the
digging a
hole
hole.
big.
So the family is unstable. The communities become unstable and disrupted and unsafe. And so now we are all falling into the domino effect of the homeless population. So that's why I say if we're not going to be a part of the solution, we're definitely going to be a part of the problem, because it's still going to drip over into our communities, especially in the urban communities. I know you know the Franciscan Outreach Center that was over on
Yeah.
Harrison
Oh yeah.
and Kidsey. So you know in that area, you would always see the homeless population over by Argyle. They always crowding over in there because they always wanted a bed. So they always lingered in that area. So that area always looked like it was abandoned. When it wasn't, it was actually nice buildings over there, but you couldn't see it because the homeless
Yeah.
population
Everybody
would
lined
pile
up
up.
for a bed.
They were looking for a bed. They had their buggies. They had the garbage cans. They had fires going. They had all of those different things going. So you would think it was just like the homeless population community. They had swimming pools over there, but they would be lined up on the fence so you couldn't see the swimming pools. So
Exactly.
therefore, the
Or the
or
baseball
the
field.
baseball field, exactly.
And you know how
And it was
big a
a
baseball
beautiful
field.
brand new
The
baseball
baseball
field
field
was,
is big.
and they laid out over there. And so when people were some of them who got high was dropping their needles on the ground and the drug bags on the ground, so the children couldn't play in the baseball field nor the park because it was unsafe. So there you have it. There you have
Mhm.
it. And our wonderful guests have now made it in, and I'm gonna push a pin right there, and we're gonna take a short break, get them set up, and give us a moment, and Chewing the Fat will be right back.
Tune back in.
Stay right there. All righty then. Thank you for coming with us for our second segment of Chewing the Fat. And you are still with your girl, the Queen, and your co-host, Tizzle.
Chisel.
And guess who's joining us now? Miss Jacqueline Augusta.
Hello.
And Miss Tawanda Quarles.
Hello.
And they are from the organization of, let's see, I'm upside down here, right?
Women of Worship.
Women of Worship Sorority. And these ladies are everywhere. They are feeding the homeless. They are taking care of teens, after school programs, and they are just what are they doing? Re-entering citizens into programs, taking care of the veterans. So they are doing a multitude of things in the city of Chicago. And I think
y'all.
Jacqueline lives in Maryville now. Did I see it on you? Yeah. and-
Previously lived in Maryville.
Okay, so you're back.
Yeah,
Okay.
God got me all over the place.
God has moved her all over the place.
Yeah.
So when you are a server, you go where you are called, and this young lady goes everywhere.
Amen.
Both of these young ladies.
I
and
just want to say I salute y'all
Thank you.
for doing God's work,
Amen.
because it's definitely God's work.
That's right.
Amen.
It is a higher calling to do this.
And I'm actually excited because I just became a minister on May 27th. I got ordained on the 27th. So I'm excited about
All
Birthing
right.
in the kingdom.
Yes, she's working at building the kingdom. When you build the kingdom, that being a kingdom builder is not an easy job.
No, it's not.
And I will keep you in prayer.
Thank you.
And you are definitely part of the brick building, the bricklayering, because you are working with our homeless population. I was
Yes,
giving them
ma'am.
a few stats, and I was talking about the criminalization of our homeless population and
Yes.
how it affects them and our homeless population. But I've talked enough in the first segment, and I want to give you ladies the platform, and you all get to tell me about your organization, what you do, how you serve, and this half is yours.
Well, thank you. Well, Our mother organization is From Our Ashes, which was developed in 2000, and we've been going just coming out of our own pockets. At the time, I was working for Chicago Transit Authority, which is some beautiful people when it comes to giving. They saw me bringing in boxes and bags and wanted to know if I lived out of my car. And I was like, no, I'm going to feed the ladies in the shelter. And so then they start contributing. And then some of them said, well, why don't you just form an organization? And so that's what I did back in 2000. God blessed me with the inspiration to be able to do my own 501c3 and all of the different things that you have to become an organization. And since then, I've always helped other organizations come into place. And when we did decide at one point to go after funding, the grant writer wouldn't even help me because he was like, you don't value yourself. You've been doing this all these years with no income and no funding, and now you want me to write for you? And I was like, well, yeah. He was
Please do.
I said, I'm going to do what God tell me to do, which is serve his people.
So he really would not write for you because you served people on your own?
Yes.
But that was the way that you started out. And sometimes it's lack of knowledge that we do things. It's not that we don't want to, but it's lack of knowledge. If we don't know how to write a grant, if we don't know where to begin, we begin where we know how. Yeah. And so because you had the servant spirit, you just said, forget it. I would take it from my pocket if I have to, but I'm called to do this. So because you are called to do it, he didn't stop a show.
No.
That's a wonderful story.
18 years later, we're still standing.
That's a blessing.
And we're still doing. And so the sorority was birthed out of it last February. We actually came together in August and really just started networking and putting things into fruition. But I want to give kudos to From Our Ashes that's been here all this time.
Wow.
And now the ladies, what we want to do now is continue to bring other ladies into the fold of learning how to worship, first of all, and second, how to be givers. If you can't be a good follower, you'll never be a good leader. So we're training women how to be good leaders in the ministry, in their homes, and teenage, and working with their teenagers. And so I'm going to let my secretary have some say and give some experience of how she has developed and become a greater leader as being a part of the Women of Worship.
All right, Miss Tawanda.
Yes, so the Women of Worship has been a blessing in my life. I was at a place that I was asking God, where do I need to be? You know, how do I serve? What do I do?
Make sure you talk. Yes, scoot up to your mic.
How do I serve? What do I do? And the answer was actually the Women of Worship. I have learned just so much just in growing as in being a woman of God, learning how to pray. Because I didn't grow up in the church. So learning how to pray, learning how to serve, these are things that are near and dear to my heart. I just didn't know how to do them. And so being around ladies that will pray for you, to have a true sisterhood. I don't have any biological sisters. So, it is wonderful to have,
sisters
ladies
in Christ.
that I can call on, that
just
I can
embrace that love.
Yes, that can just pray for me if I just need prayer.
That's right.
Someone that I can
to cover you. That's a big thing.
And so it's just been amazing, and it's been growing me just in all areas of my life.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I caught you ladies serving the community at 10 South Kedzie.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think Jacqueline inboxed me, and you all were serving the community over at 10 South Kedzie. We were about to. Mm-hmm. And what really caught my attention was the fact that you do similar as I do when it comes to serving. You don't publicize the people that you're, the clients that you're serving. And I think that is a huge benefit to the clients, because you're first giving them their privacy.
Absolutely.
You're not exploiting them like, I need likes on Facebook or social media to show, hey, look at me, I'm serving, I'm passing this out. Like, you can tell when it's from the kindness of your heart.
Amen.
You can tell when you're doing it to please God.
Yes.
And that is one of the most precious things. And so when I saw that, I twinkled.
Amen.
My eyes just twinkled. I felt a little, a little something in the
Yes.
inside. And there's nothing but God when you feel that little something in the inside. And I said, I'm going to contact Miss Jacqueline and have them come on the show, because talking about the homeless population is very important to me.
Amen.
And to the communities in our city, and not just our city, but other cities and other states, because we pretend that we don't see them.
Yes.
We pretend that it does not exist, but it exists.
Yes.
And we don't have to always put the money in the bucket.
Right.
But we can give back in other ways.
Amen.
That is beneficial.
Yes.
And that, God is approving.
Yes.
God is approving, because there's so many young people and so many families displaced, so many people with doctorate degrees and master's degrees, but life beat them.
Yes.
And they just did not know how to resurface. They lost loved ones, and it took them to the edge, but thank God they didn't kill themselves, but they're there and they just need a little help to get back along the way. And that's what you all are doing.
Yes. One of the things that I'm finding is that more of them want a hand up and not a handout.
Mm-hmm.
And through the systems, I'm finding, going in and out of shelters, that they're doing what they can. But we need to be able to put programming together so that we can take them holistically from A to Z, so that they can learn how to be sufficient citizens themselves. And the excitement when they learn different things to do something better for themselves, that's my reward.
It's priceless.
It's just seeing the eyes brighten back up. And then not looking downtrodden anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel like, okay, I can make it. It's some hope. And that's our purpose. That's my purpose. That's our purpose.
I like that.
Live life on purpose.
Amen.
Live life with purpose. Don't I say that? I say it every week when we leave. You know your purpose.
Yes.
You know what you are here for. And when you all know what you're here for, you serve better.
Yes.
You serve with intent.
Yes.
And when you're serving with intent and purpose, the job is lighter. You're happy when you do it. The passion exuberates from you. And you're not doing it just to be doing it. You're doing it because you know it needs to be done.
Absolutely.
It has to be done.
And it just makes you feel good.
Yeah, and if it's nobody but me doing it, I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care. If it's nobody but me, I'm going to do it because the job has to be done. And that's a wonderful feeling. That's a wonderful feeling.
One of the things that the pastor that was out there, because we connected up with the night ministry, because it's been a while since we've been out, like in the evenings, feeding the homeless. They used to go to the police station a lot, and they're not there anymore. So I said, well, we're going to go find out where they are. So we connected up with the night ministry in order to be able to just have a firsthand experience where we already knew where they were. And the lady came to me and she said, she came to you. Mm-hmm. And she said, tell them what she said.
Yeah, she was just saying that we were the only African Americans that they saw coming in the community. And so it was just such a joy for her to see.
And which community was this?
At 10 South.
10 South Cathy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
usually and that is been always, except since the 60s, an African American community. Sad.
Yeah.
Man.
Sad.
Yeah.
The only one, huh?
The only ones. And so she just really was just like so overjoyed to see us there, and so grateful to us for that.
And mind you, they didn't come in the truck or a little van. They came in a bus, like a coach bus.
Yeah.
So I saw what they came in. It was like a coach bus. So they came out there to serve. They meant business. They meant business. So they came in full force to serve this population. And if anyone know anything about 10 South Kizzy, it is a lot of homeless population that comes up there daily. Mentally ill people that hangs around there, because there's a behavioral center directly across the street. I don't know if you ladies know that, but it's a behavioral mental health center directly across the street. So when they go see sometimes court ordered behavior counselors, they kind of come back over and hang out by 10 South Kizzy, because they may get a meal from there or some type of voucher or bus or whatever, or meet up and just hang out right there, because that used to be like a meeting area. So it's still like a navigating spot. So they hang out there. Right. And it also is a warming center, a cooling center. So they hang out in that area. So that is a nucleus for them. So it's if anybody want to serve, 10 South Kedzie is the place. 10 South Kedzie is the place. So if anyone want to serve, please go to 10 South Kedzie. Thank you, Denise, for joining me as well. And Adria, Frederick, Hope, I thank you all for joining as we're discussing the homeless population. CJ, I think you're texting me at the same time, inboxing me, but I know you were on a live. Just place it back on the live text, on the live window, so that we can see your comment, unless it's personal. Unless it's very personal, then we'll have to wait until after the show to discuss it. But I wanted to disclose that the federal studies show that chronic homelessness is due to part to its criminalization costs to the public, to us, meaning us, $30,000 to $50,000 per person every year. So we pay out $30,000 to $50,000 per homeless person a year. Wow. Anytime they're criminal, taking it to the penal system. So, it's better that we assist them outside of the system than them allowing them to continue to go back into this revolving door over and over again. It's cheaper to get them some housing. I know the city of Chicago is starting a pilot program. I know you guys, have you all ever watched the show called Little House? Where they have those little, they are supposed to be building little houses for the homeless.
Actually, I have one on my phone.
I love Little House.
I would really, like to see a
population. Like it's like a little house. They're really small square footage homes. And you guys can look it up. Just look up Little Houses, and you can watch the show. It comes on. My husband loves that show. He always say, "We can live in there." I tell him, "No, you'll live in there. that's my closet." But they have like an upstairs, a downstairs, but it's almost the size of a dollhouse or like a mobile home or something, but it's a home. And they're going to start pilot programs for the homeless. But I always said, why not take the buildings that they deem condemned or they take from taxes and open those up for the homeless, for families. I always said that, like, they don't have to be so greedy. They take enough people cars and money through boots and parking tickets. And so why
they
not?
They get a lot of money off me just by iPads.
iPads, the state program for iPads. They get enough money through
that's who calling me now.
Parking tickets.
iPads.
Yeah.
Your account is low. I drive too much.
So it's if they take the abandoned buildings and and some of the homeless population have trades. They are carpenters, they are electricians, they are plumbers. Allow them to come in. They'll take more pride in it. And allow them to fix their homes up and solicit Home Depot and Menards and Lowe's and have them, because they have community programs where they do give back materials and they do fix up homes, and allow them to do that. Those are write-offs. Those are write-offs, and allow them to do that and solicit carpentry schools, things like that, electrician schools, trade schools, have them to work in the programs where their students are getting certifications. And it's really easy to solve. You just don't want to think outside the box. If I can think outside the box from my desk, you can doggone sure do it where you control the funding and the money.
Well, one of the things we have to consider, though, Shonda, is that a lot of times they don't want to improve on it because they want to continue to make the money from the penal system.
Absolutely.
And so
it's a big box industry now, just like Walmart and Sam's Club.
Yeah.
It's a corporate industry. It is.
As the church, though, we could stop fighting among ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
And come together and unify.
Outreach.
We could do some things that we supposed to be doing, commissioned from God, and what Christ told us to do greater works than what He did.
Do the outreach.
But we want us for and no more in our church, and everybody wants to be the chief. Nobody wants to be the Indian. So therefore, that's why we're not moving forward. We're going backwards, and they're going back to the 3rd grade to survey to see how many more prisons to build.
Yes.
And we could be utilizing the services
Yes.
that you said and build a better place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Because people gonna eat one way or the other. They're gonna eat through doing something wrong or doing something right, but they're gonna eat.
Just like it's a growing number that courts have struck down the laws from sleeping and camping in public places, and they would practice it under 4th and 8th and 14th Amendments, and where people were sleeping, they were putting them in jail for just sleeping. They were taking them and sweeping them up and putting them in the paddy wagon and doing those things. And they were getting criminal backgrounds for this. And so I just thought that it was just ludicrous just to consistently see the X's on the back and not allowing them to move forward in life. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, they be like the first one to go on like the like a lineup, like to do a lineup. Like they be like the first ones to grab too. You know, plus the gas, on the corners or whatever the case may be. But they always grabbing the homeless people, and put them up in the lineup and just make somebody pick them out. And there go a charge.
Yeah.
A study done by the Economic Roundtable for Homelessness in Los Angeles. Remember, I was talking about California homeless population, which included 10,000 homeless people, found that the housing reduced the average monthly spending to 41% per person. Even after including the cost of providing housing, the savings included 95% reduction in jail facilities and service costs. So after dropping down after Los Angeles stopped enforcing the laws, it dropped the percentage 95%. 95%. That's huge. That's huge.
That's a lot.
That's 95%. So that means only 5% was going to jail. Only 5%. So you stop enforcing frivolous laws. That means you'll have people who don't even belong in jail getting a criminal background, and which will make them more efficient in life. That's anyone. If I keep going outside and every time I turn around, I'm going to jail, I'm useless in the workforce, because now they're going to see a rap sheet this long and they're going to say, what are you doing, Dr. Harris? What are you doing with yourself? You look like a menace to society. These are recent arrests. You keep going. You went in 2015, 24, 3 times 2015, 4 times 2016, 7 times 2018. They're just going to keep reading my jacket.
You got 2 different kind of probation.
Yes. All of them
different.
Yeah. And then, I'm glad that they, one of the things that they want to do is strengthen renters' rights for everyone. And then that would also, and eviction rights and credit reports, because it's fair housing opportunity. So if you do fair housing opportunities, it's less likely that people will be homeless. Because if I have what does my credit have to do with me paying my rent? I'll pay my rent so that I won't be homeless. People will pay their rent before they would a credit card bill. It's just the irony of it. They'll let the credit card bill go, but they'll pay their mortgage. They'll pay their rent, because this is their livelihood. This is where they have to sleep. This is where their kids have to sleep. You may not pay the cable bill on time, or you may let the boxes go back, but you're You're gonna pay your rent.
Well, now you have jobs. It's taking a credit background just to get the job.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to know. I want to know. What does my credit have to do with my working abilities? So it's like you just don't want to get no better, no job.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have good credit. So.
Thanks, Denise. She said it was a good idea that they do the housing projects, use the trade centers, the trade centers to help employ people. Adria Duncan said some people are so concerned with themselves instead of getting together like we used to do. Exactly. There was a time that we would get together and make sure that people wouldn't get set out. They would have rent parties, and when people homes need to be beautified, they'll have paint parties and, construction. A room need to be built over. The men would come over, the women would cook, they feed the men, the women, may cackle and be doing some handcrafting stuff in one room. They made sure that things were taken care of. If a house needed to be painted, and just so it wouldn't be an eyesore in the community, they took pride in their community, and people would get together and they'll paint things, they'll do things. If it was homeless, people, they'll figure out what's going on. If so-and-so had an apartment in their building, well, you get to stay here. Mr. So-and-so got a job for you around here at the restaurant. You go around there and you get your job and you get off these streets, boy, and you take care of your family. So it was a lot of different things of chains of commands that was placed back in the day. Adria, you are exactly right. We don't operate the way that we used to because we did not want each other to suffer. Right. We are not taking care of each other the way that we used to. We have begun to worry about self, and in that selfishness, we have begun to abandon one another. Yes, and we forgot what, like you said, the Christ-like, the selflessness, the unconditional love. We forgot what that meant, and so we fell astray from that. And in order to go back to that same way, we have to do like he did. He reached out. He came out of the tabernacles. He came out of the church walls, and he came out into the streets and figured out what is going on with my people, with God's people. What is, and he had to dwell amongst them.
I have someone, Miss Jackie, on my lab asking you to contact information.
Okay, well, if she wants to email me, it's FROMOURASHES@yahoo.com, or she can call me at 219-680-9088, or our website is at
No, you can go, you can keep talking.
Our website is FROMOUR.
You can keep talking.
MINISTRY.Inc.
All right.
And can you repeat your phone number one more?
The number is 708-219-680-9088.
I hope you all got that. If not, you can do a playback. Adrian said, yes, it's a shame they check your credit to work. Yes, they do. If we don't look out for each other, no one else will. That's so true, Denise. And Adrian said, yes, ma'am. Okay, so we have a lot of people agreeing with us. And I showed charts earlier, and this is another map that's just showing the numbers. And so you can see, like, Texas has 32,000. Chicago, what our number is, and you if you can read a map, you kind of can see our homeless numbers in here. And then Walter, you can show your homeless numbers on your map, and then hold it up for Earl. And those are some of the numbers that you can just see state by state, and just the growing numbers down by state, and then we rise them up in another state. Yes. And so I don't know if it's the different governors state by state, and different politicians city by city, which makes the inflation of the homeless population, because by state, as programs get cut, then we have a a flush of
going to another
yes, as programs gets cut, because I know when a lot of people can't get into CHA and Section 8, I know that they go from state to state trying to get apartments. I knew, young ladies would go to Iowa and Carpentersville and Minnesota and all of those different places in Indiana and say, well, they're giving out numbers here and it's quick.
Excellent. That's like a lady state for real. Like
they don't play. Minneapolis.
They don't take no
Minneapolis.
Time.
They go to Minneapolis and Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would say the what do you call it? Well, it's not welfare or public assistance. That's the new name. Public assistance will be higher. The money will be higher. The food stamps will be higher. The housing list will be faster. So they would move on behalf of opportunities for them. They would say employment would be better. They wouldn't cut them off as quick with employment. They allow them to have, both until they transition off, because each state is different.
Yes.
Each state is different. And it means a lot when you're able to transition off, opposed to being just cut dry turkey. As soon as you get a job, you haven't even got your first check yet.
Right.
So how do you pay your rent to cover your next thing? So, I understand why they do that. It is an epidemic, Denise. Adria, also there was a time when you could go to church for help, but people see so much corruption and deceit in the church. They have turned away from God. We have got to get people to. It's true. Now, my church still helps. If you are an active member, they still help. They still pay bills. They still pay rent. They still pay bills all the time for people. And
that's a good church.
Yeah, we still do it all the time.
Church.
We don't have prejudice.
Like
we don't say, well, sister so don't come as much. If we see you come, you need a little help. If we don't see, we have had someone that's been out of church for over a year, and they came back to church and they said their lights was off. There was an offering place, and we went over and beyond. See, what people don't understand, it's better to give than to receive. Your blessings come when you give. Now, if the person don't go do what they supposed to do, they're held accountable. But you're not. Your blessing's going to come regardless, because you gave with a clean heart. So that's what people have to understand. People are worried about the wrong things. What they going to do with their money? That preacher going to buy a new car. You worried about the wrong things. If you do right, don't worry about anything else. You worried about why the homeless person homeless. You worried about, I ain't getting my money to he probably rich. If you going to give, just give. Give with a clean heart and a clean mind. And your slate is clean. Don't expect nothing back. Don't expect your blessing to come right now. Don't think that it's like a lottery ticket. I'm gonna get a homeless person something, and God gonna give me 100,000. It's not a lottery ticket. This is
maybe he just gave you more life.
Maybe he did. Maybe he gave you more life, more abundantly,
more health.
You may have more health, more strength. You may smile a little bit more. Your marriage may be a little better. Your relationships with your children may get better. See, know what you're valuing before you look at it as a gift of monetary value or something, because I tell you, health is outweigh money.
Oh yeah.
Well,
any day.
One thing I'm finding though, the more you stay in front of the minister, which is God, the more you'll do ministry. Don't ever do more ministry than you get before the minister.
I like that. Say that again. Say that again.
Stay before the minister more than you do ministry. And it'll make you want to do more ministry because you're working for him.
Wow. Profound. Profound by a woman of God. Amen. That's from a wog there. That's from a woman of God.
So you've been doing this for 18 years now.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
And I can't be God given.
Anything else you ladies want to add about your organization? Anything coming up? Any dates coming up that we should know about?
Do y'all need any help?
We always need help.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to speak on this Saturday coming. One of our leaders is graciously,
let me turn this around.
We're having a fellowship in her backyard. Again, our main purpose is to learn to worship better. So we're going to be worshiping, fellowshipping. Everything is free. And I don't know if she want to give out her address, but we just wanted to let you know that we do grow each other. We help each other. We love on each other. We pray every Saturday together at 7:00 in the morning. And we just learning how to love better, how to be there for each other in different situations. Our organization is a blessing from God for all of us so that we can be a blessing to others. So I gave you all the wrong email address, website address, but
you can give it again.
It's FromOurAshesInc.com. The other one was
FromOurAshesInc.com.
Yes.
FromOurAshesInc.com is the website.
Yes.
All right.
And Miss Jackie, my name is Walter. Yeah, okay. So when y'all get together on Saturday, and do that wonderful prayer,
okay,
because I see God.
Call your name out, huh?
Amen.
Call my name. Amen. Don't forget my name, Walter. I'll write it down for you after the show.
Okay.
I like that.
I love the prayers.
That. Yeah.
Hey, pray for me. It's better than money.
Now, the last thing I'm going to speak on is her service project. Tawana is the leader for the assisted living, and we will be going to 104. Give the address because I forgot. 104th in Michigan. Yes. It's the Ventry Center, and they take care of themselves to a certain extent, but they have CNAs and different people come in and help them. But she going in and play bingo and take gifts.
Give them game and game day.
Yes.
Yes.
So
the last time we went, we had
our praise dance.
Our little mentees. We have some women of worship mentees, and they did praise dance, and the seniors loved it. And so
really nice.
I asked them, do you guys want me to come back? And they was like, yes. And so I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, bingo. So
so you're the Julie like on Love Boat, the cruise director.
Yes, I'm going to be playing bingo with our seniors on the 23rd.
Oh, nice. They need an activity director. Yeah. Maybe that'll be a door that open, an activity director for you. They need it over there in that building. Yeah, see, those are the type of serving things I'm talking about, the geriatric generation, all of those things. So you guys are tying into areas of populations that is overlooked.
Yes.
Underserved.
Yes.
So awesome job. So I just want to thank you ladies for joining me. It was a great honor, Miss Jacqueline and Tawanda. It was an honor to have you guys on Chewing the Fat on Intellectual Radio.
Thanks for coming.
And thank you, my dear host Tizzle. And I want to thank you guys for joining me on Chewing the Fat.
Program and be patient.
With your host, the Queen, and I thank you guys. Live life on purpose. Live life with purpose, because without purpose, there is none. No reason to live.
Amen.
All right. I'll see you guys next Thursday, same time.